Is a medical physicist in Bahrain.
Unfortunately, all medical physicists have left, and our study about complex issue in radiotherapy medical physics. I am Ali Eid, head of medical physics, radiation oncology, Bahrain Oncology Center. I am pleased to represent our work today about machine learning model using in-vivo dosimetry as a predictor or quality assurance surrogate for predicting setup reproducibility in right-sided breast cancer. It is a collaboration between medical physics and radiation oncology to improve quality of treatment. As you know, right-sided breast cancer is highly sensitive to setup accuracy and reproducibility, and the residual shifts can make significant clinical deviations. Daily CT and SGRT can improve the accuracy, but they are source intensive and time consuming. On the other hand, if we use in-vivo dosimetry, it is a fast and simple method and available in a lot of centers. So we thought about using in-vivo dosimetry, which is a question of our research. Can we use in-vivo dosimetry as a predictor for the setup accuracy? So our main two objectives for our study is to investigate the correlation between in-vivo dosimetry and the residual shifts from CT and SGRT, and second part, to develop or design a machine learning model to predict setup reproducibility based on the dosimetric data. Our study design is a prospective study done on 60 right-sided breast patient, VMAT-based, free breathing, no mask. We equally distributed the patients, 60 patients, into 3 arms, 20 in each arm. The first arm, we used CT in the initial setup and post-CT to calculate the CT drift, and the SGRT with interfraction correction and beam hold threshold. We used to use the threshold with the IBH to manage the delivery of the beam or to interrupt the beam if the patient is violating, but we use this method in free breathing to inhibit Kestra violations or any movement more than 3 millimeters or 2 degrees. Second arm, we used pre and post CT, and we use SGRT with beam hold only if it is violating 3 millimeters and 2 degrees, but we didn't use interfraction correction based on SGRT corrections. And the last arm, arm 3, we used pre and post CT and SGRT for monitoring only, without breath hold or without beam hold or interfraction correction. Our methodology also includes the workflow for in-vivo dosimetry and machine learning prediction model. For in-vivo dosimetry, we used nanodot OSLD. We used for each patient in all fractions, we used 2 nanodots in medial and lateral positions. And we used the first fraction as a baseline. So the first fraction, we ensure that it is highly accurate and controlled setup. We used the first arm setup in the first fraction in all arms, because it will be used as a baseline to calculate the delta in vivo. Delta in vivo in our measurements is a relative assessment, which is the difference between the baseline, the current fraction minus the baseline, because we want to track the variations of delta in vivo dosimetry based on a reference and standard setup. For increasing the accuracy and remove the uncertainty, we use the same nanodot or OSLD for same patient in the same patient for all fractions to improve the intra-dosimetric variability. On the other hand, for machine learning model, we used our input was the delta in vivo, translational and rotational shifts. And we used two machine learning models, the regression learner we used to predict the translational shifts, and the confusion matrix done by machine classifier model, which is the vector machine support, to make a wise confusion matrix to predict or to make automated alerts for setup reproducibility, as we will see in the later. Our results in the SGRT translational and rotational shifts we extracted from the log files of SGRT. As we can see, in first arm, we achieved the setup, the mean translational shift almost 0.7 and the rotational shift 0.5 degree. In comparison with the last arm, in which we used the beam CT drift and the beam monitoring only without any control, whether it is beam hold or interfraction correction, and the corresponding delta in vivo, which achieved as expected minimum deviation from the baseline, 1.6% versus 4.8% in the last arm, in which we removed the interfraction correction and the beam hold. We found that arm 1 achieved the highest geometric accuracy with one-way ANOVA analysis of one-way ANOVA analysis, and there is a strong correlation between delta in vivo dose observed with geometric setup accuracy and SGRT residual shifts are 0.88, which is highly correlated with the deviations of delta in vivo. Okay, thank you. We observed also large deviations in delta in vivo were observed with patients with anatomical curvature and large breast volumes. Here we can check, we did the trend of all the mean delta in vivo of 60 patients for all fractions. In each cluster bar groups, it's representing each bar cluster group representing one patient and each color representing a special fraction. For the 60 patient in the 3 arms, we can see in the first arm, which is first 20 fraction, the minimum deviation in the delta in vivo in comparison with the last arm with the maximum or more divisions in the delta in vivos. Finally, the machine learning model. Here we can see the R-squared, the machine learning model. We use the Gaussian GBR, Gaussian process regression with R-squared 0.82, which not very strong performance algorithm, but is good and promising, and it needs more correlations with the volume of the breast and the curvature. And some patients were violated due to the irregular breathing pattern. On the other hand, the confusion matrix done by vector support machine, it's called also the WISE matrix. We created like alerts for fail and marginal and pass alerts to predict the setup reproducibility in each fraction. The accuracy for pass, it was 95, almost 95%, and for fail, it is 57%. The marginal one, which is the most important, marginal one represents the gray zone or the clinical decision making, because marginal, it is clinically accepted, but it still needs alerts and watching and monitoring for the other fractions. So if the delta in vivo predicts, the model predicts in any session with the in vivo, it is passing, it's okay. If it is marginal, we have to make caution and monitor for the other fraction and correct for any division, especially with large patients with large breasts or highly curved breast cases like imbalance or irregular breathing pattern. So to conclude, in vivo dosimetry strongly correlates with SGRT setup residual errors because nanodots are attached to the surface and it's correlated with the surface guided, because surface guided monitors the external surface only. SGRT with beam hold and interfraction correction provides superior accuracy. Machine learning models enables automated setup quality alerts and show high potential for real-time QA decision support. Future research will focus on a special population of breast patients with large breasts and patients with imbalance to improve our performance, the performance of our machine learning model or the WISE confusion matrix. Thank you.
Thank you, Ali, for such a